Welcome back to the party package, soon to be called the O Show. Now today, we're talking about this team right here, the Vegas Golden Knights, the second newest team to the NHL, and the first team I ever saw an expansion draft for. Now, today, we're covering them. Last time I covered the Vancouver Canucks, a team that is the definition of mediocre. Well, we're moving on to a team that should have been mediocre when it started, but has blossomed into a true playoff contender since its inception and has continued to show that it has playoff expectations. But last year, they missed the playoffs for the first time in their existence. The first time out of their, is it 3 or 4? 3 or 4 years of existence, they missed the playoffs just by that much. Just by that much. They barely missed it. But I think that whatever the right word is. I'm throwing away this stupid hat. That is misleading is what I'm trying to say. Because last year was unfair. Players like Eichel was injured. Couldn't play. He only played 35 games. Stone, I think, played 37 or 30. Or did Eichel... They only played between 30 games. Smith was injured for a while. Carlson, actually Carlson's Carlson. Patrick, which, whatever. Their top guys weren't able to play most of the season at all. Barely, not even close to half the season. So, as their top guys, too. Not just like Roy or Carrier. Stone and Eichel, right? So, that is what we're dealing with here on this team. And their leading guy in points was Jonathan Marchessault. Second was Chandler Stevenson. Just to give an idea of what type of players they were missing, was Marchessault and Stevenson were the ones leading the charge for points. Now, last year, we're writing that off. That one doesn't count, okay? That one it's unfair to say that was a bad year for them, because it's like, what happened? So, of course, you're going to miss the playoffs when your best players, your two best players, especially offense, are out. So, what are you going to do? So, last year, writing that off. Forget that it happened. Now, let's move on to the good before the bad. The good news about this team that I find is, number one, out of their offense, defense, goaltending, I think their offense is probably their strongest zone. I think their defense is really well put together. Sure, someone like Martinez, 8 points, not really amazing, but Martinez during the playoffs and Martinez just as a defenseman, it works really well. I really like Alec Martinez. I think he was a great pickup for them when the team picked him up last season. So, he's great. Pietrangelo, of course, 44 points. Pietrangelo is great. However, at the same time, I don't really like his contract. It definitely seems like one that this season we could be like, I don't know, that's not very good. And then also, McNabb is whatever. McNabb's McNabb. He's kind of like a Colin Miller. Like, not really anything. Like, any team can put him on their team, but he's not going to be like a prize. Shea Theodore, of course, everyone knows and loves Shea Theodore, except I don't really buy into all the hype. But 52 points for him, not bad at all. And then Hutton and Whitecloud. I love Whitecloud. I thought Zach Whitecloud has always been one of my hopeful, I hope he becomes really good, because I like Zach Whitecloud. But the reason why I picked their defense over their other zones is that offensively, they've never really... The Golden Knights, in my eyes, have never really shined as an offensive powerhouse. I think they've always been, a really deep playing offensive team. They've never had, 80, 90 points guys, but they do have guys throughout the lineups getting, 40 points. I mean, that's just a made-up number. But you get what I'm saying. That was, their thing, is that they're so deep that all the way down the lineup, they're getting production from every line. That has kind of fallen off. And it also hurts because Eichel and Stone were even on the team. They were injured. So it's it's so hard to really... Last year is it puts a sour in your mouth. But they've never really been known as an offensive powerhouse. Especially since Carlson has fallen off from his 40-point goal season. And then Robin Lehner and Brossoit, which is a whole other topic I'm going to be getting to in a second. Actually, we'll talk about it now. Let's talk about the cons. The cons about this team is I would say their cons is that their offense kind of falls off. Offensively, after you get past, hopefully, Eichel and Stone, which, by the way, they got 30 points and 25 points in like 35 and 37 games. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Like, that scales out to like what? Like 60 points, which actually is not very good now that I think about it. But anyways, offensively, it really falls off. Especially when you look at like someone like Carlson and Smith with only 35 and 38 points, when those are your second line guys and should be doing better, especially Carlson's contract. Riley Smith, I think, just re-signed with the team, and that 30 points is not very good. And then Carrier, Patrick, and Roy, or Waugh, I'm pretty sure it's Roy. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, Roy sure got 38 points, but you got Patrick and Waugh 7. I mean, Nolan Patrick. We know the deal with Nolan Patrick. Carrier, I've always hated him. I cannot stand William Carrier, I'll be honest. So, and then after that, Colasar. I like Colasar, but not really like amazing. I like him, but he's not anything great. Howden, Amadio. I've seen Amadio play actually in an AHL game, so that's kind of cool to see him on here. But offensively, this team isn't shocking, but it really never has been. But maybe with Eichel playing a full season this year and back into the lineup and Stone together could cost a little bit more offensive production. But we'll have to wait and see for the season. Now, goaltending. The big question around this team, Fleury, they've traded away him for Lanner, and now it looks like they don't really care about Lanner. And the Thompson kid down here, Thompson, right there, Logan Thompson, right? I think that's his name. 10 wins and 5 losses during the regular season. And when he was playing and those 10 wins, this kid was looking amazing. But I feel like all AHL goalies do. I feel like all AHL goalies, it seems like when they are given a chance, they really try to grab that ring and run with it. You can see that with like Aiden Hill when he had 4 shutouts or something in 8 games or 6 or something. It was insane. It seems like, in Bennington, it just seems like certain goalies just need to be given that chance to shine, and they haven't. And when you give it to them, sometimes they shine, sometimes they're not really anything special. And Thompson was a case of he showed that he could be pretty amazing, and now there's kind of some doubt with Leonard being kind of a hothead and kind of a crazy guy, that maybe they move on from Robin Lehner and they bring in Thompson. But that's a big risk that I don't personally think they should go with. I think maybe you share Lehner with the net with Thompson and see how that goes, but Lehner probably wouldn't be very happy with that. So I don't really know what they're going to do there. Goaltending is a big question, and it's so weird when it comes, they went from Fleury, and they went down to Lehner because Lehner's younger, and he's playing pretty well as well. Which, I mean, not a terrible choice. It kind of makes sense to get rid of the old guy, bring in the new guy. Even though the old guy is still playing better than the new guy, but whatever. And now they're going to thinking about shipping him out. Then what happens if they do? Thompson comes in and crumbles and falls apart. That's just what I fear that could definitely happen. So, the goaltending is such a question mark there. But usually I like to bring in some things that I like to look at, goals against and goals for, right? Because it shows which teams are offensive powerhouses, which ones are really good at stopping the puck. Some teams like the Islanders can't really score goals, but they're really good at stopping the puck. And the same thing goes for the team I was talking about the other day, which I can't remember now, where they're really good at scoring, but they're not really good at stopping the puck. This team, it wasn't even worth looking at, because it's so hard to tell, because Leonard was injured at the end of the season, but that's whatever. But this offensive team didn't have their top 2 guys on the lineup, and I can't really count that. It'd be like McDavid and Draisaitl being injured on the Oilers. It's a completely different team if you look at it from that angle. And they also got rid of Tuck last year, and then he shined in Buffalo, kinda. So this team is very confusing, and we all know the story of how this team seems to just they're not treating their players right. Once you kind of start showing you're not the best, they ship you out of town. So I don't know. Not a loyalty. That's the right word. Loyalty to their players. So, but the question that people would like to probably know the most is playoffs. Is this a playoff team? I totally think they are. I think this team can totally make it to the playoffs. I think especially in the Pacific Division, as long as Stone and Eichel are healthy and the rest of it, or like everyone doesn't also get injured or something, I think they can. With this lineup, if this is the lineup that plays the season for the most part, I think that this team definitely makes it to the playoffs, especially in the Pacific Division. However, I will say some players like a Petrangelo or maybe like a Stevenson or maybe even like a Stone and Eichel, maybe they are showing signs maybe that Eichel's injury is not going to really, maybe he's kind of out from how good he could be. I don't know. That's a question. Also, they have no cap at all. They're negative 5.79 million in the cap. So I'm not entirely sure how that works. I think that Shea Weber's contract goes there and then that wipes it away and they'll be okay. But I'm not sure how that works. But anyways, I think this team makes it to the playoffs. And are they still cup worthy? I think it really depends because we've never seen Jack Eichel play a playoff game. I think it really depends on the state of this team because we haven't seen them last season. Usually, at least their thing was that they're so good in the playoffs, at least. That's the one thing that they can take away. Now, I don't know because we haven't seen a Carlson with 35 points and a Smith with 38 points go into the playoffs. Also, we've never seen Jack Eichel in the playoffs. So it's a really big question marks on if this team can succeed in the playoffs or not, or in the regular season. But I think overall, do they make it? Yes. Do they go far? I could see them going past the first round, and depending on who they play in the second round, let's say it's like Calgary or the Oilers, that would be an interesting series, and I feel like it'd all be depending on what goalie's in net and if their defense is still as good as it should be on paper to withstand like the Oilers offense or the Calgary Flames. And I think they could make it to the conference, but then it's a big gamble of do they get past Colorado or even if it's St. Louis this year. That would be a tougher question. But I still think they could make some damage in the playoffs. But that's really all I have to say about the Vegas Golden Knights. If you like this video, please pick up your free subscription down below. Please leave a like, not a dislike. You can go down below to the comment section. Leave any tangents, rants, opinions, or other sorts of comments, concerns, suggestions, reviews, feedback, or other types of whatever. And tell me, do you think the Golden Knights make it to the playoffs? And if they do they do well? What do you expect from Eichel? And until next time, I've been Owen. Boom, too sweet, and ta-ta for now.